Many a times, parents complain that there is a lack of growth in the child, and in spite of knowing that there is a lack of growth in the child, the doctor does not know how much lack of growth is there in the child. And to scale up this lack of growth, scientists came up with one chart known as growth chart. Now, this chart helps us in identifying whether the child is growing on the normal path or whether there is lack of growth or there is overgrowth is there. So this is what is growth chart all about. So in today's lecture, we'll know what is growth chart, how it is interpreted, what are its advantages, and what are its limitations. So without wasting time, let's get started. Now before starting this lecture, there is one special surprise at the end of this video. So please stay till the end of the video and don't skip the video. Hello students, I am Dr. Gitesh Tubal and let's start the lecture on growth chart. In today's lecture, you will know what is growth chart, what are its uses, what are the WHO criteria of the growth charts, what are the basics of the growth chart, how the growth chart is interpreted, what are its advantages, and what are its limitations. So without wasting time, let's start with the introduction of the growth chart. Okay, so first of all, what is growth? Growth means increase in the physical size of the body as a whole or its part. Basically, it is because of increase in the cell number or cell size. Now, what is growth chart then? The growth chart means it is a graphical representation of the child's age against the weight. So here the child's weight is recorded periodically and plotted against its age. This chart is known as growth chart. Now, this chart was designed by a scientist known as David Morley. Remember this name because it may be asked in Viva question. So the first growth chart was designed by David Morley. And this chart consists of x-axis and y-axis. So x-axis is horizontal and y-axis is the longitudinal one. And here the weight and age of the child is plotted and we find out whether the child is growing normally or not. In India, where these growth charts have been utilized, they are utilized in well baby clinics, primary health care, and ICDS programs. ICDS stands for Integrated Child Development Services programs. And these are the programs that are run in India. And these programs utilizes the growth charts for the recording of the growth of the child. Here, the weight of the child are periodically recorded over a period of time and any deviation from the normal can be visualized from the growth chart itself. Upward curve is the ideal one. If there is a flat or downward curve, it is not desirable. That means there is lack of growth in the child. In WHO, the blue portion is for the boys and pink portion is for the girls. What are the uses of growth chart? Definitely growth chart is used as a diagnostic tool to find out whether there is lack of growth in certain high risk children or not. It also helps the government in planning and policy making because by collecting growth chart from various regions of India, it can find out whether in particular regions there is lack of growth in children or not. And in that way, it helps in making policies of that region. And that is how the government uses the growth charts to design some programs so that there is no lack of growth in all the children in that particular region. It also helps the mother to visually see that there is lack of growth in the child, and that can inspire the mother to feed their babies properly and to take care of their babies properly so that there is no lack of growth in the children. It can also be used as a tool for action and it can be helpful to find out what type of intervention is needed so that the child is been properly fed and the growth is taken to the normal path. And by taking certain measures we can find out whether these measures are effective or not. So this growth chart also helps us to find out whether the steps we have taken to make the child grow normally are effective or not. And it also helps the government to find out whether the certain programs that have been conducted in that region are effective or not by evaluating the growth chart of the region. And it is also useful as a tool for teaching the medical students where medical students can visually see whether there is a lack of growth in that child or not. And lastly, it can be used as a tool for designing the drug dosage. As in pediatrics we know that for each and every child there is a particular drug dosage because the drug dosage depends upon the age and the weight of the child, and growth chart can be a very useful tool, a powerful tool to find out the drug dosage of the child. Now, how the WHO came up with the growth chart. Now, the study that was conducted to find out the design of the growth chart, that study is known as Multi-Centric Growth Reference Study or MGRS study. Now, in this study, various countries have been included, which were like Brazil, Ghana, India, Norway, Oman, and USA. Now, the data was collected from all these countries by a trained staff, and a common protocol was followed by all of these trained staff. Now here the communities were being designed in such a way that there were no environmental constraints to the growth of the child. So only those communities were selected where there were no environmental constraints to the growth of the child. And then this chart was being designed. The new growth reference was taken in the accounting the breastfeeding factor also. So the breastfeeding was taken as a normal biological factor, and taking into that account the growth of the child was being plotted. And the measurements included weight against the age, height against the age, and weight against the height. And it was the first time that the BMI data of the children under the age of 5 years was collected in this study. So this is how the study was very important in designing the growth chart by WHO. Now let's see how the growth chart was designed by the WHO. So this is the growth chart designed by the WHO. As I have already mentioned, the pink portion is for the girls, the blue portion is for the boys. Now there are two growth charts for different gender. It is because the growth in girls is different from that of the boys. Now on the x-axis, you can see on the x-axis it is in age, and here also you can see this section is for 1 year of the child, this section is for the second year of the child, and this section is for the third year of the child. And in the first year also you can see there are 12 partitions are there. Each partition represents 1 month. So this is 1 month, this is second month, this is third month. So for every month of child there is one partition. And this is how the 3-year growth chart, this is a growth chart for 3-year old child, is plotted. So on the x-axis it is age, on the y-axis it is weight in kg. And this is how the growth chart is plotted. The green one means it is normal growth, yellow means little bit retarded growth, and red one means highly delayed growth. Now there is another growth chart that was designed by WHO. This is a more detailed growth chart that has been designed by WHO. Here in growth chart there is some specific things that are mentioned, like we can see the grade of growth delay. So there are 4 grades of growth delay. This first green one is the normal one. If the child growth chart falls into the green zone, that means the child is growing normally. But if the child is falling into the blue zone, this is the grade 1 growth, means the child is having grade 1 growth delay. If the child growth falls into the yellow one, that means the growth of the child is grade 2 growth delay. If it falls into the orange one, then it is a grade 3 growth delay. And if it falls into the red zone, that means the highest level of growth delay is found in the child. So this is how the grading of the growth delay is been charted into this chart. Now another important thing is, if the growth is growing forwards upward direction, that it means it is a good growth. If it is having a flat line, that means it is a dangerous zone. And if it is rising and then falling very suddenly, that means it is a very dangerous zone. So this is how it has been designed, how this is how the growth chart has been designed by the WHO. So let us know some of the basics about the growth chart. Some of the things we already discussed, like on x-axis, the age is mentioned. So the values may be either in years or in months. In the y-axis, it depends what kind of parameter has been used. If the height is used, then the value will be in the centimeter in inches. If weight is used, the value will be in kg. And if the body mass index, BMI, is used, then the value may be in kg per meter square. The x-axis, as I have said, is divided into 12 parts. Each part represents 1 month. So in total, it will become 1 year. And the standard growth chart has 7 percentile lines. So these 7 percentile lines are 3, 10, 25, 50, 75, 97. Now what are percentiles? Many of the students might be knowing percentiles, but just make a refresh of it. What is percentile? Suppose we take 100 children in this study, then the third child will be third percentile, the 10th child will be 10th percentile, and so on and so forth, and 97th child will be the 97th percentile of that study. So percentile is 100% of the data that has been collected. Now it is very difficult to find out the correlation between z-score and percentiles, and that is why WHO MGRS study has made a table of z-score, and from that table we can find out whether the child is having normal growth or not. But before that we should know what is z-score. So let us find out what is z-score. Z-score takes three parameters into consideration. One is mean, other is standard deviation, and third is observed value. What is mean? Mean is the average value of the data of the children that has been collected. The standard deviation is the deviation, the biological variation, which may be because of the culture, which may be because of the region in which the children have been brought up, and the observed value is the value of the child that has been observed. So these three parameters are taken into the formula of the z-score. Now the z-score formula is observed value minus mean by standard deviation. Whenever the observed value of the child is more than the mean, that means the average, it is more than average, that means the z-score will be positive, that means the growth of the child is normal. But if the observed value of the child is less than the average or mean, then the z-score will be negative, that means the child is having growth retardation. So that is the importance of this formula, and that is how we understand this table. So in this table, as you can see, if the value is more than 3, the height for age may be abnormal, means it may be more height or more weight, and the BMI means the child is obese. So there is overweight or increase in the height may be there. So same weight greater than 2, then height may be normal, the weight may be, we have to use the BMI parameter, and the child may be not obese but overweight. More than one, then the child will have risk of overweight. Zero means the child is in normal. So when the z score is zero, that is a perfect condition of the child. When it is negative, still minus one, if it is there, it is again normal, because in India most of the cases the child are little bit malnourished. So here minus one is even taken as normal. But if it is minus two, that means the height is less, the weight of the child is underweight, and the BMI is wasted. If it is minus 3, the height is severely stunted, the weight is severely underweight, and the child is severely malnourished. So a severe wasting is there. So this table helps in understanding what the condition of the child is. Now, what are the advantages of growth chart? Now, it is taken as the gold standard for identifying the health outcomes in the societies across the cultures, because it helps in identifying the early malnutrition problems in the children. Now, it also helps in establishing the breastfeeding as a biological norm, because in cities, the breastfeeding is not considered as important. But to understand the growth of the child, growth chart need to be plotted, and to plot the growth chart, breastfeeding should be done. So that is why it helps in establishing the breastfeeding as the biological norm. Now, it is more suitable for aboriginal populations, because here the infants are predominantly breastfed compared to the cities. In villages, the children are normally breastfed. So this situation is perfect for plotting the growth chart. Now, to see the other end of the spectrum, which usually rarely occurs in India, but still, even in children, we can find out very early whether the child is overweight or not. And in that situation, we can warn the parents that the child should not be overly fed, and that can result into obesity, and in future it can result into diabetes and hypertension. So we can treat the overweight condition well before the child has some diseases. So that is the advantage of growth chart. Now, what are the limitations of the growth chart? The first limitation is that the growth chart does not represent the current feeding practices. The growth chart shows the past of the child. So it represents the past feeding practices which are over the period of months. But if the mother has changed the feeding practice in just few days, the growth chart will not reflect that feeding practice. So that is why the growth chart does not represent the current feeding scenario of the child. That is the one major drawback of the growth chart. The second drawback is that if suppose two childs are being breastfed exclusively, one breastfed child is having a proper normal growth, but another breastfed which is also exclusive breastfeeding, but the proper growth of that child is not there, then the mother of that child will think that because the child is having exclusive breastfeeding, the growth of the child is not there. So mother will be tempted to give outside food, which can be very dangerous to the child. So it can discourage the exclusive breastfeeding practices in the mother, particularly if the child is not having proper growth. That is one major disadvantage of growth chart. Third disadvantage is that if there are slower expected growth rates are there, then it may be thought that the mother is not taking proper care of the child. In spite the mother is taking so much of care, but still the child growth is not normal. In that scenario also, the mother may be viewed as a evil side of the taking care of the child. So that is one another disadvantage of the growth chart. So finally, let's summarize today's topic. First of all, we learned about what is growth chart, what are the uses of the growth chart, how WHO designed the growth chart, what are the basic things about the growth chart, how the growth chart is interpreted, what are its advantages and what are its limitations. So this is all about today's topic. I hope you have learned a lot of things about the growth chart today. If you have any doubt regarding growth chart, please mention the in the comments below, and please like, share and subscribe this video and stay connected till the end. There is one big surprise coming. So finally friend, I am revealing the big surprise here. Now in all my upcoming videos, at the end of each video, I will ask one medical puzzle, that is the medzel. Now don't try to find out what is medzel, because this terminology I have just made up. It is just a medical puzzle, that is why I am telling it as medzel. Now in this section, I will ask some things to you, and you have to tell me what this thing is about. Okay, try to answer the query here or the puzzle here in the comments below, and as a token of appreciation I will give you like to your comment. And also if you like our videos, please also give a like. It helps in motivating us to make more videos. So what is this medical puzzle? Let us find out. It is: when you sleep I wake up and work, when you starve I grow, bone is my working turf, I have assistants to help in my job, tell me thy, who am I? Tell me the answer in the comments below, friends. I am waiting for your answer eagerly. And as a token of appreciation, I will give a like to your comment. Another section is today's thought of the day. The more you know, faster you grow. It is a very important thought of the day. The knowledge is like a torch which helps us in looking into the dark. Okay, so always try to know more things, the faster you will grow. I hope that in the regarding knowledge, your growth chart is in the normal path. Thank you, friends. Have a nice day. Bye bye.